Ireland is a land that has it all. Incredible scenery with miles of open spaces that are crisscrossed with ancient tracks and remote wild trails. It's a walker's paradise. It's a land of history, folklore and legends that date back thousands of years, the remains of which are still here in the landscape to be seen and experienced by all. From early monastic settlements to remote scholarly islands, from ancient stone circles to pre-Christian communities. It's a land of writers, musicians and poets, from the wild Atlantic Way to wild landscapes, from the coastal villages and towns that resonate with music and song to the quiet, peaceful trails in the mountain and lakeside areas. Ireland has it all.
Much of my life is spent reporting on the world around us. So when I get a chance, I like to get away and simply appreciate it. Walking is a great way to do this for me. I get time to think, relax, and just walk. This weekend I'm heading to Waterford, a county that has a lot packed into a small space, from serious mountain hikes to coastal walks. My name is Nicola Tallant, and this is my Tracks and Trails. I'm spending 2 days walking in County Waterford. After a proper mountain hike, I'm opting for an easier walk. I'm heading east to Dunmore East to visit the many famous Waterford coves and hear some of the old sea dog stories of smuggling and shipwrecks. Today's walk is 7.5 kilometres, and while it's not a difficult walk, it is going to be a scenic one. It'll take me from here in Dunmore East across the cliff to Ballymacaw Cove. Locals call it the Cliff Path. Now, I'm not wearing my walking boots today, but I have proper walking shoes on and I have my waterproofs in my bag because we know how unpredictable the Irish weather is. I have my water, I have my phone charged. I've been looking forward to doing this for a long time, so I'm going to get going while the sun is still shining. Dunmore East is a picturesque seaside village. It attracts thousands of Irish and foreign holidaymakers. It's one of Ireland's quintessential family holiday destinations. Dunmore East has had people living here since the Iron Age. It's been a port for nearly 200 years. Today, as well as being popular with tourists, it's also a working fishing port. My route takes me from the town centre along the cliff tops, past 3 of Dunmore East's coves to Ballymacaw. Total distance 7.5 k. I'm meeting Elaine Power, who grew up here. She has a local fish restaurant and has built a business around this being a port. Elaine, I've been dying to do this walk for ages, but it's always kind of nice to know what you're actually looking at. So tell me a little bit about the village and maybe what I might see along the way.
This walk is really important for Dunmore East. A lot of work has gone into it. It's a 7.5 kilometre walk and it takes you up past East Pier. And when you get up onto the cliff, you walk along and you meet 3 different coves along the way. There's some beautiful flowers and fauna. During the winter time, you can see whales and dolphins. Whales migrate past Dunmore East in the months of November, December and January. It is absolutely beautiful whether you want to walk or you want to swim. You know, it's full of history, beautiful birds. You'll see gannets out there. You'll see lots of seals. It's just, the cliff walk and I think the harbour, it just has a heartbeat all of its own. It's absolutely beautiful. It's the most enjoyable and I think most scenic 7.5 kilometre walk you can take.
Certainly sounds that way. So where do I start? Is it up this way?
Yeah, so you just start up here. Yeah. You take the little bridge over to your right, turn to your left, and then you follow the path past the terrace of houses, up a few steps, and you're up onto the cliff.
Brilliant.
And enjoy.
Right. Thanks a million.
No worries.
Bye.
See you. Bye-bye.
The start of the route takes me to the cliff tops at the end of the town. Once on the cliff, the trail is straight as far as the eye can see. The views are fantastic here, and the trail is gravelled and easy to walk on. Trainers or walking shoes are plenty to do this comfortably. The route has a half-dozen sheltered and picturesque coves dotted along the trail. These are accessed by pathways and steps that lead in and out, and are used by swimmers and walkers alike. Do you know, I absolutely love the sound of the sea, and I think cliff walks are probably my favourite. I grew up beside the sea and I can't imagine living too far away from it. But there's something so relaxing about that sound. And then just the crunch of the gravel underfoot. I could keep going here for as long as this road takes me. And yeah, you get a real sense of calm. And it's maybe a great way to relax and to forget about work and everything else for a while. Plenty of stories around these parts. Now this one is a myth, but it's a good one. It goes that the priests during penal times, when masses weren't allowed, used to come in here in a boat and come right in underneath the cave. And behind us there is a hollow. And the congregation would come and they'd wait in the hollow and the priest would come up through the cave and say mass. And nobody could see them from any distance, unless you had a drone, which they didn't have in those days. I do like the ruggedness of the Irish landscape, the coastline I like. I think it makes it far more interesting. Sometimes you go to these places and it's just straight, long, okay, it's sunny and the sea looks beautiful and blue, but it's kind of boring. Whereas in Ireland, every corner you turn of the coastline is different. This is definitely a walk with sea views, but there are activities here that switch this up a little. I'm meeting a group of people engaged in sea activities alongside the walking views. Hello. How are you? Lovely day for a swim.
Today we've actually got us on a day where we're doing something a bit special because we're doing a cliff path, but we're also swimming every cove. And so it's called a swalk, which is a swim and a walk. If you do this coastal path along the way, you've coves all the way, 3 beautiful ones for swimming. So we basically invented or put a new dimension on the walk trail by saying it's also a swim trail. The other thing we do then is, again, just to prove how much walking and swimming can be linked, we have members who are members of the Comber Mountaineering Club, and we've gone up there with them to, last week we were at a place called Crotty's Lake. So we got up to the top and into the lake. Cold, dark, lovely.
And that's a swike.
And that's a swike, a swim and hike.
Well, look, I won't keep you, so I'll let you go and enjoy your swim.
You're carrying on all the way?
I am.
All right.
I'm going to keep going, but enjoy your swim. I'll watch you getting into the water there.
Are you not coming with us?
Not today, no.
We've spare talks.
I'll mind the stuff and watch you, okay, while you get in. Good luck. Well, I'll be here when you get out, maybe. Or maybe not. Before I get roped into anything out of my depth, I'm going to continue with my walk. Dunmore East has been a port for nearly 200 years, and so there are plenty of stories and legends. I'm meeting Andrew Doherty, a font of knowledge about the seafaring history around this part of Waterford. Want to tell me some stories?
Absolutely.
We'll walk and talk.
Walk this way.
Yeah, lovely. What's the story around here? We're looking at something more than just the vast sea.
Well, it's the Dunmore East coastal path, and I suppose the origins of it really in terms of locating the different communities along here. The Dunmore East was the building of the mail packet station between 1814 and 1818. This was the way people went to work.
Yeah.
But I suppose the other thing about it really is that it links up communities, fishing communities, that would have worked from the coastline here for generations, really.
So a fisherman would have needed to know the sea the same way a farmer needed to know the land.
When I look out there, that's what I look at in terms of, well, what's the ground like? What would you fish in particular areas? Where do you need to avoid? But that information was passed down from father to son and stayed within families to some extent, stayed within communities.
So you can see there's lots of inlets and opportunities, I presume, for smuggling around here over the ages, was there?
Well, it has been recorded that there was smuggling did take place all along the Irish coast.
Right.
And of course, smuggling wasn't just a case of taking stuff in, it was also taking stuff out. Wool tariffs,
Right.
salt tariffs in England, and gave opportunities to Irish people to export that out or smuggle it out. Of course, people involved in insurrection and freedom fighting, they had to be smuggled out at times.
And what sort of things were smuggled in?
So, one thing you probably wouldn't have thought of were Bibles. So but during penal times when Catholics weren't allowed to practice their faith. So the other feature of the coastline here was the importance of the Coast Guard that would have patrolled the coastline here in an attempt to deal with smuggling. So they were founded in 1822, and in around 1850 or 1840, 1850, a lot of those tariffs were reduced on goods, and it made it less likely for people to want to smuggle. And at that point, they started to focus more and more on shipwrecks. So one of the more dramatic stories of one of those rescues took place right here in front of us. It was a sailing ship called the Chamber of Commerce. By force of weather, it got blown ashore here and in onto the rocks close to Ballymacaw. So the Coast Guard came to the rescue, and they brought what was known as a rocket apparatus, which was basically a mortar with a line attached, which was shot into the rigging of the ship. And then they would use a pulley system, bringing in and out what was known as a breeches buoy, which was basically like a life belt with a seat in the bottom of it. And each sailor or passenger on board the ship would sit into that and would be hauled ashore. So on that particular day, all 23 were saved with that system. And it wasn't just the Coast Guard that were there. Locals would have been there as well, local fishermen and others, and they would have brought those people ashore and would have saved their lives.
The second cove along this route is Rathmoylan Cove, and it's where I'm going to say goodbye to Andrew.
So this is where we're going to part company, Nicola.
Right, okay.
I'm heading this way, but the coast path just goes along up and continues over to Ballymacaw.
Well, look, thanks so much. Really enjoyed all the stories. Thanks a
Pleasure
million,
meeting
Andrew.
you. Take care.
Okay.
Enjoy.
There's definitely something enchanting about coastal walks, whether it's the sea air or the old stories. This one has only taken me a few hours, but it's provided plenty of variety and plenty to think about. I'm approaching Ballymacaw Cove. This is the third and final cove of my walk, and it's where I end my walk today. I've come to the end of my few days here in Waterford, and it's a county that has really surprised me. The Cummeragh Mountains and the Boola's Loop, which was a difficult hike, was well worth it because the views were simply spectacular. Then from Dunmore East, the coastal path across the cliff. It's flat, but there's actually enough dips and lifts to make it interesting. And of course the company was great, and the stories about the maritime history here were really interesting. Waterford is a county that has surpassed my expectations, and I'll definitely be coming back.
If you enjoy the show, follow us on social and tell us your story. We'd love to hear about your tracks and trails, especially if it's influenced you in any way. Has it got you out walking? What were the benefits? Your feedback could inspire our next show.